For nearly 7 decades, B.B. King toured the world, performing an incredible 340 nights a year, his guitar telling stories of pain, power, and soul. But behind the Grammys, global fame, and the Presidential Medal of Freedom was a hidden story few knew. When he passed away on May 14, 2015, the world mourned a legend. What came next, though, was unexpected. A bitter family battle over a $40 million estate, 15 children from 15 women, and a house filled with secrets from a life shaped by hardship and blues. How did a man born on a Mississippi plantation inspire generations of guitarists, and why did his final years end so quietly? Stay with us as we step inside B.B. King's home, reveal the truth behind his fortune, and uncover the sad ending of a blues icon. B.B. King's net worth at the time of his death. In 1990, while in his late 60s, B.B. King was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, a condition that would impact much of his later life. Despite the challenges, he became a well-known advocate for diabetes awareness, even appearing in ads for One Touch Ultra, a brand of blood glucose test strips essential for managing the disease. Sadly, King passed away on May 14, 2015, at the age of 89. Just a month earlier, he had been hospitalized for dehydration. At the time of his death, his net worth was estimated at $10 million, as reported by Celebrity Net Worth. B.B. King had 15 children by 15 women, and now his kids are going to war over his estate, which could be worth up to $40 million. During his 71 years on the road as a legendary blues musician, B.B. King defied the odds, not only in music, but in fatherhood. Despite being told he had a low sperm count and might never have children, King ultimately fathered 15 kids. He supported them financially, stayed in contact, paid for their education, and never disputed their paternity. But after his death in 2015 at age 89 from complications related to Alzheimer's disease and heart failure, the peace he once kept within his family began to unravel. Now, the battle over his multi-million-dollar estate has divided his surviving children into factions, some of whom are suing his longtime business manager, Laverne Toney, while others continue to support her. Toney, who had power of attorney and managed King's affairs since 2011, claims that the musician died with just $10 million, a figure she attributes to decades of financial struggles as a black artist in a segregated industry. But several of King's children argue that the estate should be worth between $30 and $40 million and claim they haven't received anything since his passing. They also challenge the validity of King's 2014 will, which names his children, but does not assign them specific inheritances. The opposing group favors an earlier 2007 version, which provided more generous allowances to some, though not all, of his children. They argue that by 2014, King was suffering from Alzheimer's and vision loss, and was no longer capable of managing his affairs or updating a will. King's son, Riley B. King, has been vocal about the dispute. "My dad told us, even when I'm gone, I'm gonna take care of you. But we haven't received a dime since he died," he told The Hollywood Reporter. "We got a lawyer, and we're trying to fight for what belongs to us." King's grandson, Christopher, revealed that family discord had always troubled the blues legend. "It upset him sometimes," he said. "He would say, 'It's family, son. Period. We've got to take care of the family.' That wish seems far from reality today. The family feud has fractured into groups. One, dubbed the Las Vegas Crew, is aggressively pursuing legal action against Toney, while another group, the L.A. Crew, continues to back her. This isn't the first time Toney has faced accusations. Just a week before King's death, his daughter Karen Williams took her to court in an attempt to become his legal guardian, claiming Toney and former assistant Myron Johnson were neglecting his care and misusing funds. The case was dismissed after the Las Vegas police found no wrongdoing and both King's doctor and dentist vouched for Tony's handling of his affairs. Johnson, William's half-brother, but not one of King's biological children, testified that she had tried to manipulate the blues legend for money. To complicate matters further, Johnson's attorney presented documents suggesting that Williams might not have been King's daughter at all. Though B.B. King spent a lifetime preaching unity and love through music, his passing has sparked a bitter inheritance war, a legacy he never would have wanted. But B.B. King's story wasn't just marked by tragedy after his death. His entire life was shaped by hardship and heartbreak that many could hardly imagine. From poverty and loss to betrayal and pain, the legendary bluesman lived a life filled with more sorrow than most ever knew. This is the tragic real-life story of B.B. King. B.B. King came from a broken home. Riley B. King was born on September 16, 1925, in Itta-Bena, Mississippi, to two plantation workers. He would later adopt the stage name B.B. King, short for Blues Boy. When he was just 5 years old, his parents separated, and his mother moved with him to Kilmichael, another small town in Mississippi. By the time he was 7, King was already working in the fields. Even while laboring on a plantation during the day, young Riley nurtured dreams of becoming a gospel singer. The church played a big role in his life, and it was there that his musical aspirations were first ignited. After learning basic guitar skills from a preacher, King made a deal with his employer to get his own instrument. He then taught himself to play through mail-order guitar lessons. Tragedy struck when he was just 9 years old. His mother passed away, leaving him to live alone in their modest home. He attended a one-room school with 92 other children while continuing to pick cotton and milk cows just to get by. Reflecting on those years later in life, B.B. King once said, "I swore as a poor kid that when I grew up, I would have what I wanted to eat when I wanted to eat it, and I would never sleep in a dark room." Those early hardships would shape the man and the music that the world would come to know. As a youth, he worked as a cotton picker. By the age of 11, B.B. King was essentially orphaned in the segregated South. His mother had passed away when he was just 9, and 2 years later, his grandmother, his last remaining guardian, also died. Reflecting on that time in a 2012 interview with Classic Rock, King said, "I felt deserted," explaining that although he had relatives nearby, he didn't feel close enough to any of them to live under their care. To make matters worse, his grandmother had died owing money to a local cotton farm owner, and their home, already modest, didn't even have electricity. Despite this, young Riley King remained determined. He continued to attend school and worked in the cotton fields whenever he could. During a speech in 2008, he recalled earning just 75 cents a day chopping cotton and 35 cents for every 100 pounds he picked. "I picked 480 pounds one day," he shared proudly, still carrying a sense of achievement for that grueling labor under the Mississippi sun. After 2 years of living alone, his father finally learned what had happened and brought him to live with his new family in Lexington, Mississippi. But the reunion wasn't a happy one. King struggled to get along with his stepmother and step-siblings. Eventually, unable to adapt, he made a bold decision. He got on his bicycle and rode over 100 miles back to Kilmichael, the town he still felt was home. B.B. King dropped out of school in the 10th grade. B.B. King was primarily raised by his mother and grandmother, so after both passed away, he attempted to live with his father's new family in Lexington, Mississippi, at age 14. But the arrangement didn't last. As he later told Classic Rock, the environment just didn't feel right, so he hopped on his bicycle and made the long journey back to Kilmichael, where he returned to picking cotton to make ends meet. He briefly re-enrolled in school, though he eventually dropped out in the 10th grade. Music, however, remained a constant. When he wasn't in the fields, King was deepening his musical knowledge under the guidance of his cousin, blues guitarist Bukka White. With White's mentorship, King began performing gospel songs on street corners for spare change. Reflecting on those days in a 2008 speech in Indianola, King recalled, "When I played gospel, people would pat me on the head, but when I played the blues, they gave me a tip." White's impact on King went beyond music. He helped him land a job at the Newberry Equipment Company and even shaped his sense of style. "When you play the blues," White once told him, "always dress like you're going to the bank to borrow money." It was advice King took to heart, and it would help define the professional, polished image he carried throughout his legendary career. He had 2 unsuccessful marriages. Although B.B. King achieved legendary status as a musician, his personal life, especially when it came to love, was far more complicated. "It took me a long time to realize that you can't have all of the women," he told Rolling Stone in a 1998 interview. King married twice. His first wife was Martha Lee, whom he met when he returned to Kilmichael, Mississippi after a brief stint living with his father. They married in 1942, and King later admitted he had fallen deeply for her. "I guess I was looking for love because I'd never had anybody I believed truly loved me," he said. But his infidelity caused problems early on. After being caught flirting with another woman, Lee grew distant, and their marriage ultimately ended in divorce in 1950. Several years later, King met his second wife, Sue Hall, during a nightclub performance. They married in 1958, under the condition that she could join him on tour. That marriage lasted 8 years before ending, too. Looking back, King said he regretted the second marriage even more than the first, blaming his emotional distance as one of the reasons it failed. While King never had children with either of his wives, he did father an estimated 15 children out of wedlock, relationships that, though unconventional, he reportedly acknowledged and supported throughout his life. He had a near-death experience that led to the naming of his iconic guitar. B.B. King's legendary guitar, Lucille, may have been the only woman he ever truly loved. In interviews, King often joked that Lucille was his homewrecker, a constant presence in his life that sometimes came between him and real relationships. Though he owned several variations of the Gibson guitar over the years, his affection for each one never faded. The story of how he came to name his first Lucille is as dramatic as any blues ballad. Back in 1949, still early in his career, King regularly performed at a nightclub in Twist, Arkansas. The venue wasn't exactly fancy, and to keep it warm during cold nights, staff would place a metal garbage can in the center of the dance floor, fill it with kerosene, and light it. One night, as King recalled, a fight broke out between 2 men, and during the scuffle, the makeshift heater was knocked over. Flames quickly spread throughout the club. King escaped safely, but then realized he had left his guitar inside. Without hesitation, he ran back into the burning building to retrieve it, risking his life for the instrument. The next day, he learned the fight had started over a woman named Lucille. From that moment on, he named every one of his guitars Lucille, not just as a tribute to the story, but as a reminder never to do something so reckless again. Years later, King partnered with Gibson to design a custom guitar modeled after his favorite instrument. Naturally, it carried the same name, Lucille. B.B. King's tour bus lawsuit. By the early 1950s, B.B. King had firmly established himself as a rising star in the blues world. The breakthrough came with his 7th single, 3 O'Clock Blues, which became a major hit and launched his first national tour. His popularity soared, and by 1955 he had invested in his own tour bus, proudly naming it Big Red. Just a year later, he and his band were performing an astonishing 342 shows, each at a different venue. But life on the road took a tragic turn in 1958. While Big Red was traveling through Texas, it collided with a gas truck on a bridge. King wasn't on board at the time, and fortunately, none of his band members were seriously hurt. However, the driver of the gas truck died in the accident. To make matters worse, King's insurance policy had been canceled just days earlier. The victim's widow filed a lawsuit against King, claiming damages for wrongful death and the suffering her husband endured. She won the case, and the judgment cost King $375,000, a massive financial blow at the time. In the aftermath, King was forced to scale back his operation. To pay off the debt, he let go of his large band and began playing smaller, more modest gigs, often accompanied by just a few musicians. Despite the setback, he kept performing relentlessly, using music as both his escape and his way forward. B.B. King had a gambling addiction. As B.B. King's fame skyrocketed, so did his income. But by the mid-1970s, he had surprisingly little to show for it. According to King of the Blues, The Rise and Reign of B.B. King, much of his financial management fell into the hands of his longtime manager, Sidney Seidenberg. While Seidenberg was largely responsible for guiding King's career to success, he also had a front-row seat to the musician's growing gambling problem. It all began with a stroke of luck. As producer Stuart Levine recalled, the first time King played Keno in Las Vegas, he bet a single dollar and won $23,000. That win sparked an addiction. At his worst, King was known to play Keno for 24 hours straight. His bandmates would sometimes find him crawling around on the floor, searching for lost tokens after running out of money. Over the years, he estimated that he gambled away close to $40 million. Seidenberg was deeply concerned. So when King took a Las Vegas residency in 1975, the manager took action. Knowing that proximity to casinos could reignite bad habits, he advised King to stop using casino credit entirely. Instead, Seidenberg insisted the blues legend write checks for his earnings. It worked. When I saw how big some of those checks were, that cured my gambling, King later said. Now I just go home. I don't want to go to the casinos. He dealt with diabetes for over 2 decades. B.B. King was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes in the early 1980s, a moment that left him fearing the worst. "I thought I wouldn't live very long," he admitted in a 2005 interview with Diabetes Health. At the time, he knew very little about the disease. Reflecting on his family history, King believed his condition may have been hereditary. His father, who lived to 87, had struggled with high blood sugar and gout, while his mother, who passed away when he was just 9, reportedly went blind before her death. It must have been related to diabetes, he speculated. Dr. Gabe Merkin, a physician and radio host, suggested that King's impoverished childhood likely contributed to his health issues. Nutritional deprivation early in life, Merkin argued, could have put him at higher risk for chronic conditions like diabetes. Looking at old photos, Merkin noted King's large midsection as a possible sign that he had been living with undiagnosed diabetes for many years. Regardless of when the condition began, diabetes brought ongoing challenges. In a 1998 Rolling Stone interview, King revealed that he suffered from insomnia, which he believed was linked to his illness. As time passed, his health declined further, and he began questioning whether he could keep up with his demanding tour schedule. In April 2015, just a month before his passing, King was hospitalized for dehydration, a complication of his diabetes. He died shortly after on May 14, 2015, leaving behind a legacy that will never be forgotten. It took decades for B.B. King to become a global sensation. B.B. King may have ruled the rhythm and blues charts in the early 1950s, but that success didn't immediately translate into mainstream fame. In those early years, his popularity was mostly limited to black audiences, and instead of headlining major venues, he was performing night after night in small clubs and rough bars. A Time profile from 1969 revealed that until just the year before, King was playing over 300 shows a year, but struggling to break through to a wider, national audience. Part of the challenge was timing. While artists like Chuck Berry and Bo Diddley were riding the wave of rock and roll's explosive rise, King's bluesy, emotional style didn't carry the same commercial punch. He didn't have the same fast-paced stage presence, and as a result, mainstream crossover success remained elusive. Touring the segregated South only added to the emotional weight of it all. "I've put up with more humiliation than I care to remember," King wrote in his autobiography, Blues All Around Me. "Forever being stopped and harassed by white cops hurt you most because you don't realize the damage. You hold it in." But the tides began to turn in the late 1960s. Rock music started to embrace its blues roots, and new artists like Eric Clapton and Mike Bloomfield credited B.B. King as a major influence. As more white audiences began to discover his genius, King finally saw his reach expand. "People are starting to go with me," he told Time. "Blues is a message, and they're getting it." With his failing health, B.B. King still performed into his old age. B.B. King reached the pinnacle of his career during the early to mid-1960s, thanks in part to a new wave of young British musicians who saw him as a major influence. In 1963, he signed with ABC Records, and just 2 years later, he released B.B. King Live at the Regal, an album that would eventually earn a spot on Rolling Stone's list of the top 500 greatest albums of all time. Throughout the 1970s and 80s, King continued to tour relentlessly, performing nearly 300 shows a year around the world. But as the years went on and his health began to decline, he gradually slowed down. By 2003, he was down to about 200 shows annually. That year, he told the New York Times he was growing tired. "If I don't keep doing it, they'll forget me," he admitted. Battling hypertension and diabetes, and struggling with the demands of constant travel, King confessed that his only real exercise was moving through airports. Still, his dedication to his fans never wavered. Despite rising from deep poverty to international stardom, King never saw his work as finished. In a 2012 interview with The Observer, at the age of 86, he reflected, "I know it can never be perfect. It can never be exactly what it should be. So you've got to keep going further, getting better." He died in 2015 due to old age, yet his daughters say he was murdered. In October 2014, B.B. King collapsed during a performance in Chicago. He later explained that it was due to dehydration and exhaustion brought on by his diabetes. Not long after, he was placed under hospice care. On May 14, 2015, the blues legend passed away peacefully in his sleep at the age of 89. But within weeks of his death, controversy erupted. Two of King's daughters, Karen Williams and Patty King, accused his longtime assistants, Laverne Toney and Myron Johnson, of poisoning him. "We're his children," Patty said at the time. "We're going to fight this with every breath in our body." In July 2015, NBC News reported the results of King's autopsy. He had died from Alzheimer's disease and complications related to age and diabetes. No evidence of poisoning was found, and the allegations against Toney and Johnson were dropped. Still, the damage had been done. Johnson sued for defamation, and the accusations only deepened the rift among King's 15 children. By 2024, the battle over who would control King's estate was still unresolved. His son, Riley B. King, voiced the family's frustration. "My dad told us, 'Even when I'm gone, I'm going to take care of you.' But we haven't received a dime since he died." Inside B.B. King's house. Tucked away in a quiet Las Vegas neighborhood, B.B. King's former residence stands as a poignant reminder of the blues legend's life and legacy. The two-story home, characterized by its modest design and desert landscaping, once echoed with the soulful melodies of King's guitar, Lucille. Inside, the house featured a cozy living space adorned with memorabilia from his illustrious career, including framed records and photographs capturing moments from his decades on stage. At the time of King's passing in 2015, the property was valued at approximately $330,000. However, Following his death, the house became the center of familial disputes over his estate, which was estimated to be worth between $5 million and $40 million. These legal battles, coupled with the absence of a clear succession plan for the property, led to its gradual decline. Today, the once vibrant home shows signs of neglect. Overgrown shrubs encroach upon the walkway, and the exterior paint bears the wear of time and the harsh Nevada sun. Despite its current state, the house remains a symbol of King's humble beginnings and his monumental impact on the world of music. Fans and historians alike hope that one day the residence will be restored and preserved as a tribute to the man who brought the blues to the forefront of American culture. Philanthropy and notable campaigns. In September 1970, B.B. King recorded his iconic Live in Cook County Jail album during a time when racial and class inequalities within the U.S. prison system were under intense scrutiny. But for King, this wasn't just a performance. It was a statement. He used his platform to draw attention to prison reform, even co-founding the Foundation for the Advancement of Inmate Rehabilitation and Recreation. His goal was twofold: to support incarcerated individuals and to preserve the cultural heritage of music behind bars, much like folklorist Alan Lomax had done decades earlier. King's commitment to giving back extended beyond prison walls. In 2002, he joined Little Kids Rock, a nonprofit dedicated to providing free instruments and music lessons to children in underfunded public schools across the United States. He served on the organization's honorary board of directors, helping champion music education for future generations. Diagnosed with type 2 diabetes in 1990, King also became a leading voice in the battle against the disease. Starting in the early 2000s, he appeared in several national TV commercials for One Touch Ultra, a blood glucose monitoring device, sharing his personal story to raise awareness. In later campaigns, he was joined by American Idol finalist Crystal Bowersox, who had been living with diabetes since childhood. Together, they helped bring visibility and support to millions coping with the chronic illness. B.B. King's life was as rich and complex as the blues he played, filled with triumphs, tragedies, unforgettable music, and a legacy that continues to resonate around the world. From his humble beginnings in Mississippi to his legendary performances and the emotional battles over his estate, King's story is a powerful reminder of how greatness can emerge from pain. His house, fortune, and final days may be shrouded in controversy, but the love his fans still carry for him is undeniable. What do you think was B.B. King's greatest contribution to music or his most heartbreaking moment? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want more deep dives into the lives of music legends, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a story. Until next time, bye for now.